Welcome to Jam Good News. I got some good news for you today. Today is the first day of advanced voting, and I have someone here. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing
I
today?
am doing well. Thank you so much, Jessica. How are you?
I am blessed, black, and beautiful, and excited for today's conversation.
Great.
All right, so let's go ahead and let you introduce yourself. Go ahead and tell the people who you are, what you're running for, and then I'll dive into some questions so we can really get into why we should vote for you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So good morning, everyone. I am Tawanda Rush Williams. I am running for Gwinnett County Superior Court Judge, not just because I have over 31 years of experience practicing law, although I do, and not just because I am well versed in over 25 areas of the law, and I am, but because I care about the people of Gwinnett County. By way of background, I was born and raised in Rochester, New York, and I attended school there. I was born to working class parents. My father only had a fifth grade education. My mother went to the 11th grade. They both had to escape their home lives. And so I came up on the rougher side. I lost my father when I was 13 years old. He died of a massive heart attack. And so it was just me and my mom and my sister for the balance of that time. I came to Georgia following my sister, who had married a gentleman who was in the Army, who was stationed in Fort Gordon, which is outside of Augusta, Georgia. And her husband got a job with Kimberly-Clark Corporation as a mechanical engineering technician. And so they moved to Metro Atlanta, and I visited it and fell in love with it. At the time, I was in law school, my second year of law school. My only regret is that I didn't discover Georgia sooner than my law school years. I can talk about why I'm running. The main reason is because of what I saw in my position as Deputy County Attorney. Until last May, I was second in command as Deputy County Attorney in the Gwinnett County Attorney's Office. In that capacity, I supervised and managed other lawyers who represented all of Gwinnett County government. So our clients were the sheriff, the tax commissioner, the district attorney, the clerk of court, the solicitor general, all of the judges on all 6 Gwinnett County courts, as well as your Gwinnett County departments, police, fire, corrections, community services, water resources, communications, financial services, support services. So everything that you can think that it takes to run a county government, they were my clients. One of the main things that I saw in my capacity as Deputy County Attorney is what was happening in our jail. I visited the jail quite often to meet with my clients. And when I went, there were over 500 people sitting in our jail with mental illness. People with mental illness require specialized care. They require medication stabilization, around-the-clock supervision and observation, and they tend to be socially isolated and even a suicide risk. Because there were over 500 people with mental illness sitting in the jail awaiting trial, there were another 2,200 regular inmates who were pretty much neglected because the sheriff just did not have the staff to manage those 2,200. They were getting showers 1 day a week. They had a difficult time meeting with their lawyers to prepare for trial. And one of the reasons why I decided to run is because I don't believe that people with mental illness should be sitting in the jail. I would like for us to expand our accountability courts so that people who are accused of crimes, who are diagnosed as mentally ill, can sit at home and have a case manager, counseling services, and be prepared to get better, hopefully, so they can be productive members of our society. And judges play a role in that because judges get to decide whether they can sentence someone to our mental health court or our veterans court or our DUI drug court, as opposed to having that person sitting in jail awaiting trial.
Mm. You said a whole lot in that introduction, and I'm so excited that we got to hear a little bit more about your background and the fact that you've had law experience, you've had lots of area of law experience, and that your want to run is because you want to create a solution. So I love that first and foremost because I am from Gwinnett County. I would like to know who would go and see you if you were to become the judge? Like, who would it be that you'd make decisions on, or what situations would you be able to support?
Excellent question, Jessica. So Gwinnett County Superior Court is a trial court of general jurisdiction.
Mm-hmm.
So when you think of cases that go to that court, you immediately think of criminal felony cases.
Okay.
Felony cases are those cases that are serious criminal cases involving a minimum of 1 year in jail. So when you think about your murders, your manslaughters, rape cases, robbery cases, pretty much your 7 deadly sin cases, they all go to Superior Court, as well as family law issues. Everything from petitions for legitimation to adoptions to divorces to child support, child custody matters, even petitions for name change. All of those go to Superior Court. But there are a bunch of other types of cases that are heard in Superior Court that most people don't think about. And I do want to touch on those because I have tons of experience, over 27 years of experience in those areas. And those are your property tax appeals. So when a homeowner is dissatisfied with his or her property tax assessment,
Mm-hmm.
they can appeal that decision all the way up to Superior Court. And the Superior Court judge hears those cases to determine whether the assessment was fair. Also, condemnation cases, which are also referred to as eminent domain. So when the government takes your private property for a public purpose, such as to build a school or a fire station or a library or any other government building, the government has to pay you the fair market value of your property in order to take it, of course, so that you can purchase property somewhere else. Those cases are also heard in Superior Court. So if the owner of the property is dissatisfied with the amount of money that the county is offering them, they can appeal that decision to Superior Court. Superior Court also hears civil rights litigation cases. They can be heard both in Superior Court as well as in federal court. Those are cases that are filed against police officers or sheriff's deputies claiming unlawful arrest or excessive force. And then there's a bunch of other matters heard in Superior Court, such as contracts, uh, disputes over land, disputes over title to property, stormwater cases, elections lawsuits.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime you hear about somebody filing a lawsuit saying it's not fair that we can't hand out water in line, those cases would also go to Superior Court, as well as the period we're in right now, which is early voting.
Mm-hmm.
If a polling place does not open at 7:00 a.m., then the government has to go to Superior Court to get a court order to extend the time that the polling place is open at the end of the day so that it is open a full 12 hours.
Wow. See, I know this is not normal content for Jam Good News or Jam Good Living, but you see how important this is. A lot of the ways that we interact with each other, the ways that we interact with the government, they are important. And right now is the time for early voting. Get in your research, get in your understanding. I also want to talk about the fact that you're talking about mental illness in relationship to sentencing and where people or how people are going through the justice system. Talk to me about the changes that you see that you can make, and why is it so important to have this kind of change right now?
That is an excellent question. So many people don't know that over 40% of the cases that are heard in Gwinnett County Superior Court right now involve someone with some form of mental illness, diagnosed mental illness. Quite frankly, mental illness affects us all. It overtakes us all. And unfortunately, many of the people that find themselves in jail are suffering from mental illness of some form. Literally diagnosed mental illness, anything from anxiety to depression to schizophrenia to bipolar disorder, all kinds of mood disorders. And that is simply because if you can imagine homeless people, a lot of them suffer from some form of mental illness. And Gwinnett County has a huge problem with mental illness and homelessness, to be quite honest with you. People don't really think about Gwinnett as a haven for homelessness, but there is a lot of homelessness in Gwinnett County. So why is it important that we address this issue right now? Simply because it is a financial burden on the government to house people with mental illness. It's very, very taxing because it does require a lot of manpower hours to observe these persons while they're awaiting trial. It also requires having, of course, an in-house mental health staff who can properly diagnose and provide medication to these individuals. It also requires space in the jail, which there is limited space in the jail. And it is important because we have got to be able to help people where they are so that they can hopefully be contributing members of our society, be able to hold a job, be able to take care of themselves and their families. So what I would propose that we do to reduce the number of cases involving mental illness individuals and to reduce the number of those who are sitting in jail awaiting trial who are suffering from mental illness is to work with our county and state officials to increase the budget that has been allocated for Gwinnett County's accountability courts. Accountability courts are basically treatment courts. Gwinnett County Superior Court has a mental health court, a veterans court, and a drug court. The mental health court is pretty much a diversion program. Instead of sending somebody to jail for however long, months, years, while they await trial, that person would be diverted to mental health court. And they would have to visit a counselor. They would have to have random drug and alcohol screenings. They would have a case manager assigned. They'd have a counselor assigned. And they would have to report to court quite often to meet with the judge to make sure that they are working according to the plan that the judge has set out for them. It is a wonderful plan because it reduces our jail population. It's less of a financial strain on the county to house these individuals. And these individuals are more likely to get better with care somewhere else than sitting in our jail. Now, there are some individuals who are not good candidates to be home awaiting trial. And in that case, we need to allocate more funding to build more mental health facilities. Right now in Gwinnett County, we have two. One is Viewpoint Health. Viewpoint Health is great because it serves people without insurance or people who are underinsured. However, they only had 16 operable beds when I left the county last May. They have a total of 24 beds, but they don't have adequate staffing to accommodate 24 inpatients suffering from mental health. That is simply because their staff is underpaid. It's a dangerous job. Many times their nurses have been thrown across the room for limited salary. And so it's difficult for them to even recruit medical staff to work in the facility. So they can only accommodate 16 persons with mental illness at a time. The other facility is called Summit Ridge. The issue with Summit Ridge is that you have to have insurance. And as you can imagine, many people who are homeless or who are on the lower income status do not have health insurance to avail themselves of Summit Ridge and their services. So I would like for us to work with the judges, to work with the county officials and the state officials to develop a budget to expand our accountability courts so that we can build larger facilities, so that we can accommodate more people with mental illness, as well as, this is ambitious, but I would love to see us create a mental health hospital in Gwinnett County. So there was one many, many years ago, long before I came to Georgia. We need to bring it back because mental illness negatively impacts us all, and we need to help the least of these.
I love that. I love that. And if you're just tuning in, this is a Jam Good News episode where we are talking to Miss Tawanda. I'm so excited because it's Tawanda for Judge. We are wanting to get more information about this opportunity to vote for a woman, one who looks like us, one who has lived in Gwinnett County and who knows Gwinnett County. And I want to give us an opportunity to ask questions. So again, if you have any questions, please press that little question with the little word thing so that we can ask other questions that you may have. I do have a few more, but I want to make sure that this conversation, again, it's a little different for Jam Good Living, but I feel like really to have a Jam Good life, you need to know what's going on. And our government is working really hard on a lot of different measures for a lot of different reasons. So we have to be able to get behind the people who have reasons that support our whys, our wants, our needs. And a lot of times, the people who are dealing with mental illnesses or not being placed are representative of us. They look like us. They go into these spaces and they don't have advocates. So when you have somebody who is wanting to run for a judge and who sees those people, this is why we're having this conversation. This is why I want to make sure that we get to experience this, because early voting starts today. So I'm giving you the day one opportunity so we can get it. Oh, and I'm so excited. We have some questions. All right. Question number one. Thank you guys so very much for tuning in again. I appreciate this. This is a very important conversation. This deals with how our life works. All right. What unique items will you implement in the courts?
That is an excellent question. The first thing that I would do is definitely work with our county budget officials to advocate for more funding for our accountability courts. As I mentioned earlier, we really need to allocate more money to these courts so that we can accommodate more persons with mental illness. The other unique initiatives, and I don't know how unique they are, but they're important initiatives, is to work to clear our backlog. Before COVID, Gwinnett County had a severe backlog in handling and disposing of its cases. After COVID, that backlog was exacerbated. At one point, I believe the county was 4 years behind in getting cases heard, simply because when COVID started, the courts had to be closed down. They were not outfitted for juries, as you can imagine. And so it took several months in order to put up the plastic barriers between the jury seats to protect the jurors. And so in that span of time, there were hundreds of cases that just could not get scheduled. The judges did very well by having a number of hearings on various motions, and those were virtual hearings.
Okay.
But it's, as you can imagine, not the same thing as having people come in person and testify. And so one thing that I would definitely advocate for is running 2 courtrooms at the same time in order to clear the backlog. You may ask, how do you do that? You utilize senior judges who have actually retired. They come back and they can sit and hear cases simultaneous to the judge that has the caseload. That judge can assign senior judges part of their case docket to hear those cases. And I will tell you that senior judges get paid very well by the hour. They actually get paid more when they come back and sit as senior judges than they did when they were full-time active sitting judges. And so many of them are more than happy to accommodate the need to hear cases.
Okay.
So that's another program that I would want to expand, which is utilizing senior judges to run a courtroom at the same time that I would run a courtroom. And I will say it's your courtroom, it's the public's courtroom. I like to emphasize that because judges get paid by the taxpayer dollars. The courtroom is sustained by taxpayer dollars. So I would run your courtroom the same time a senior judge is running another courtroom. So those two things.
I love that second solution, especially because we don't really think about what actually happens when you are in the middle of some kind of justice infraction. Because if you were one of those 400, 500 cases that didn't get seen, that means your life kind of got put on pause. And depending on where you were and what was going on, you could have been sitting in jail for that amount of time, or you could have been dealing with having to pay certain things. So I especially appreciate the fact that you're seeing, okay, well, how can we catch ourselves up? Because this is an even bigger thing than just people in the court. It is people's lives being on hold. I love that. Thank you so much. We have another question. All right. What community involvement do you have? Oh, and I know this because I am around you sometimes when you involve yourself in the community. But yes, please answer.
I am so glad to have that question. Unlike my two opponents, and I do have two opponents,
Okay.
my community involvement is huge in Gwinnett County. I have lived here for 24 years. And in the span of that time, I have involved myself in multiple civic and community service organizations. To name some of them, I was the first African American officer of the Gwinnett County Bar Association. I served as an officer for 5 years, culminating my service as president in 2013. And I made sure I wasn't the last because I put folks in place to follow me. I also created the Gwinnett chapter of the Georgia Association for Women Lawyers in March of 2009. There was not a chapter in Gwinnett County, and quite frankly, I was tired of driving into Atlanta while I was serving as the statewide chair of the Georgia Association of Women Lawyers Membership Committee. And so I created a chapter here. I've also been involved in a bunch of nonprofit organizations. I've been a longtime member of the Gwinnett County Alumni chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, where I recently ended my term as the chair of the scholarship committee this past June. And under my leadership, we awarded $65,000 in scholarships to students attending college. So I'm very proud of that accomplishment. I've also served on the nonprofit board. I currently serve on the nonprofit advisory board for HOPE, which stands for Helping Other People Be Empowered. This organization was started several years ago by Kanita Smith to support single parents who are trying to obtain a college degree. So we support those families with meals during the holidays, with rent assistance, utility assistance. However we can support them, that is what HOPE does. It's an awesome organization. I am also involved in Gwinnett Giving Girls, which is another nonprofit under the umbrella of the Community Foundation of Northeast Georgia. We are simply a group of women who live in Gwinnett County. We pool our finances and we award grants to startup organizations that serve primarily women and children. I'm also involved in the Peachtree Rose Club, another women's service organization, and we have partnered with such organizations as Tabitha's House, which is that serves human trafficking survivors. This organization, under the direction of Dr. Margie Gill, literally goes out and rescues persons who have been subjected to human trafficking, literally rescues them in the middle of the night. It's a dangerous job, brings them into a safe house, provides trauma care, provides all of their supplies. Our organization, Peachtree Rose Club, has supported that organization a number of times with everything from feminine products to personal hygiene items to blankets, sheets, pillows. We do a lot with Tabitha's House, as well as a bunch of other organizations. Streetwise Georgia, which helps low-income families with food and clothing and personal toiletry items. Oh my goodness, the list goes on. I've served on Family Promise of Gwinnett. I am a 2015 graduate of leadership, Gwinnett. I've served on multiple Learning Day committees since that time. I'm sure there's probably another 5 or 6 other community service organizations that I have done, and I've performed hundreds of hours of community service.
Yes, well, I know I can vouch for that, because part of the reason why I'm able to have this conversation is because I was allowed to come in and work with some of the Delta organizations, work on the community and with the youth that you all serve. And I'm so excited to be able to see you take your passion and your commitment and do it in this way. I did have another question, because not only do we have this long list of the community involvement that you have, but I know you actually had to give up your job, like your 9 to 5, what was paying you, what you did in order to even run and to be considered for this position. Talk to me about that decision, why you did it, and why it was important for you.
I love that question. So I worked for Gwinnett County government for 18 years. Before that, I worked in the City of Atlanta Law Department for 9 years, also as a government lawyer. I've been a local government lawyer for 27 years. And then 4 years before I worked for the City of Atlanta, I was in private practice doing criminal misdemeanor defense work, family law cases, workers' compensation, employer and insurance defense work. So I've had a variety of responsibilities as a private practitioner, a solo practitioner, and for most of my legal career, local government. One of the unwritten policies of Gwinnett County government is that if you are an attorney in the Gwinnett County Law Department, you are not allowed to run for any political or judicial office. You have to resign your job. The main reason why that policy exists, I don't agree with it, but the reason why it exists is because it was my job as the head of our litigation team and the lawyers that I supervise to defend the judges when they get sued. A lot of people don't realize that judges get sued just like everybody else, particularly by people who are disgruntled because they don't like the judge's ruling. So I had to defend those lawsuits. And so the county administrator and the county attorney determined that it was a conflict of interest for me to keep my job and to run for a judgeship. I will tell you that over the years, I've helped many other judges, African American judges, really African American lawyers become judges in Gwinnett County because I could not run myself. I even served on their campaigns when they were running. And so I had to pray for 2 years, and I was waiting for the Lord our God. I'm a Christian. I was waiting for him to say, it's okay. I will provide. You can leave your job and run. And it was a lot of prayer. My husband had retired as an assistant principal from Gwinnett County Public Schools in 2020 when COVID started. He had served as an educator for 30 years, and he said, you know what? I can retire. And COVID has started, and I'm going to retire. So he had retired to pursue his A vocation, which is art. So he authored and illustrated 5 coloring books called The Powerful Impact of African Americans. So he was living his dream. He loves art. He's a very good artist. So he did his coloring books until I told him that I said, the Lord said, it's time for me to run. I got to quit my job. I'm going to lose my full-time livelihood. What do I do? And he said, oh, I'll just go back to work. So I have a mighty good man. My Dr. Anthony Williams is a mighty awesome man.
You better shout him out. You better shout him out. You better. I'm here for that.
He is an awesome, awesome husband, supporter, my best friend, literally my ride or die. And he just, in a blink of an eye, he's like, I'll go back to work. And that was important because we have a daughter that was starting pharmacy school last year. She just finished her first year at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill.
Nice.
And we had promised her that we would pay all of her living expenses the entire 4 years that she's in pharmacy school, because she went to Spelman College on a full ride. So we said, we got you for your doctoral program, but I didn't have a job anymore. And that was like a scary thing. So I'm thankful because I currently work part-time of counsel at Thompson O'Brien, Kapler and Nasuti law firm in Peachtree Corners. I'm grateful because they said, come work with us because you know all things local government, and we represent the city of Norcross. We represent Bryan County, which is down by Chatham County, Savannah area. And so we have a lot of government clients, and you know everything about local government. So I'm grateful. I work there on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. My hourly rate is substantially less than when I earned as a deputy county attorney, but I'm very grateful because it helps us close the gap and keep the lights on while we support our daughter, Autumn.
I love that. Now, if you're just tuning in, this is a Jam Good News where we are interviewing Miss Tawanda, and I say Tawanda for judge. You know, let's do this. And that is because I have gotten a chance to witness how much she loves. This is how she is. This is who she is. She oozes this. And I'm excited because when somebody is willing to take the leap, this is a leap of faith. She is saying, all right, God, I hear you're calling. I have this experience. I have these ideas for what I can change. And it is something that we need to support her in. This is not something she can win alone. She cannot vote for herself. Well, you might be able to, but you can't, like, it won't make the win if she only did it herself. It needs to be us to go out and take advantage of this early voting that happens and is open today. And then also do your research. Go look at the fact that she has over 27 years of experience in this local government. This is something that you can research. Her name will be on documents. This is something that you can see. I am just so excited that you were willing to come on to Jam Good News and have this conversation with us. I have two final questions just to wrap up. One question is, for the people who would be voting for you, what are you wanting for them to expect from you? Because I do know that in this situation, it's a give and take. And if we put you in position, what are you wanting us to hold you accountable for? What are you wanting us to expect from you?
And I do want you to hold me accountable. So my campaign tagline is temperance, transparency, and trust. I call it the 3 T's. So you need to hold me accountable to be even-tempered, courteous, patient, and a good listener for everyone that comes into your courtroom, every single person. You also need to expect me to be transparent, which means that my promise to you is that I will be open and honest to anyone who comes into your courtroom. They won't have to guess what's going on. Sometimes when people sit on a jury, the jury gets sent out by the judge for a period of time, and then the jury is brought back and the jury has no idea why they were sent out. I think that the jury decides they need to know why they were sent out. They need to have an explanation. And I can promise you that's what I would do. And then, of course, you can trust that I will follow the law, but I'm going to follow it with empathy and compassion because everybody's story is different. And as a judge, you need to take into account each individual's story. You have to look at each matter on a case-by-case basis so that you use good judgment to make the right decision. You may not always agree with the judge's decision, but I can promise you that I will be prayerful and I will work hard to make the right decision and this decision that's in the best interest of the person. And remember that civil matters are also heard. A lot of times people will say, I won't be in front of you because I don't plan on committing a crime. You might be in front of me for a contract dispute or a property tax appeal or a condemnation matter or a dispute over land. And I promise you, in every single case, civil or criminal, I will exercise good judgment and I will always endeavor to make the right decision.
I love that you understand your role. Those three T's speak to the fact that you understand the gravitas that comes with being a judge and making decisions on other people's behalves. To me, you know, us black women, we be looking out for anybody anyway. It's like we already be looking out for folks and making sure that they're good and trying to figure out how we can support and to help. And since you're running for Superior Court judge, I thank you for being willing to be a person who stands in the stead and who is willing to listen and willing to hear. And the fact that you understand that there are mental illnesses that are diagnosed and undiagnosed. That means that every time you're hearing somebody, you're listening for, how can I help you? Can I send you to another court that can support you better? Can I put you here so that you're not dealing with all the BS that happens in court systems, because I see that you're important. So I just want to thank you and like show that I support what you're doing. I saw you transition from your job to, hey, this is what I'm doing. I have seen people want to support you and want to show you that they care about what you're doing. And that's actually my final question. What can we do to support your run for judge other than vote, which we need to do? We got to go vote, and early voting starts today. But what else can we do to support your movement and your judgeship?
Now, love that question, Jessica. I appreciate you so much. There are a lot of things you can do. You can pray, because I believe in the power of prayer. Pray for me, and you will see that I am the only candidate that is woven into the fabric of Gwinnett County. I'm the only candidate who's been a career public servant. I'm the only candidate who's practiced most of my career in Gwinnett County. And I'm the only candidate that has a diversity of legal experience. But I need your prayers. I also ask that if you are a Gwinnett County voter, that you will call 10 people and ask them to vote for me, because I need a lot of votes. In order to win this race outright, I have to have 51% of the vote, which is difficult to do when you have 3 people in a race. So if you would just call 10 people, take them to the polls, encourage them to go, and ask them to go and early vote. And then last but not least, I'd love opportunities to come out and meet with your friends, your family members, people that are in your neighborhood, homeowners associations. I'll come anywhere, anytime, talk to anybody about my platform. I shared, my mental illness concerns and the mental health piece, but there are other reasons why I'm running. I want to support survivors of human trafficking better. That's a big problem in Gwinnett County. And I want to facilitate access to justice by people from marginalized communities. There are ethnic communities that just don't trust our legal system at all. And I'd like to see that change as well. But I'll come out anywhere. You can reach me, tawandaforjudge.com. You can send me an email, info@tawandaforjudge, and call me. I want to be accessible, and I'll come and talk to whoever you want me to talk to about why I'm the best choice. But
Oh,
thank you.
Absolutely. I love that. And I know that some of you all, when she said call, she's like, we don't call. So, challenge, send this live to 10 people. Okay. Since we're already on the app, go ahead, press that little bottom arrow, send it to at least 10 people, because this gives her the opportunity to literally say her piece, speak what she said. You've heard it. You hear how awesome she is. Go send it to people so other people can know as well. Again, I am so grateful that you blessed JamGood News with your abilities, with your talents, and Tawanda for Judge. Like, I'm so excited. I'm ready to be live at your acceptance party or whatever they do, when you celebrate at the end. If we're going to have a countdown and a watch, I'm here for all of that, because I do know that your care is not like surface level. This is your life. This is who you are. This is who you've been. I, again, am from Gwinnett County, so I have such a stake in this, because what your decisions are going to do, and again, she's not just dealing with the people who are like the criminals or the people who have dealt with situations, like our property taxes, our family relationships, our dealing with the government because they say they want our property. No, thank you. Like, it's a thing that we really need to participate. And again, early voting has opened today. Look, the polls are already open. They're already open and available for you to go vote and have your opinion, because the local government, the local voting is where your life is actually being decided. Like, your life is being decided by a judge. Yeah. Let it be this judge. Let it be this one. Again, thank you so very much for being here. Thank you guys for tuning in to JamGood News. This was definitely a different version, because politics are very important when it comes to our livelihoods. Any time that we live or step out our door, decisions that the Superior Court in Gwinnett County, for me, are a part of my everyday living. So please, again, if you're not in Gwinnett, find the persons who are running in your county. This is happening in other counties right now. So I'm shouting out for Gwinnett County, because this is where we are. This is who we are. So again, this is very important. Thank you again, Miss Tawanda. Tawanda for Judge.
Thank you so much, Miss Jessica.
I'm full of energy, transparency for Top Court Gwinnett Superior. Made to form